Hey there, everyone. It's Martin, the RCSubGuy with the Nautilus Dry Docks, here with
Logan.
In the background, working hard. It's Monday, the 5th. Of February. Now, for those astute observationalists amongst you, you will have noticed that we didn't do a weekly update last week because we weren't here. And therefore we had nothing to share. So this is a new week after a week off. We were in California visiting relatives, had a great time. We came back actually on Friday and we did do a little bit of work. As you can see, we got some paint on Nautilus. It is actually looking pretty awesome. We're going to be finishing that up here hopefully today. I think by the end of the day, Nautilus is going to be 99% done. Also got a base coat on Seaview, as you can see here. I'm going to put another coat on that top deck just because there was a little place here where the paint didn't like the filler area underneath. So I'll hit it with one more. But fortunately, that's on the upper deck. I can take that off, and in the meantime, I can flip the boat over and do the white on the bottom. And then after that, it's just detail stuff. And then it will cosmetically be finished and ready for a maiden voyage in the ponds. And then we can go hardcore on seeing if we can make that little flying sub going. And now, like I mentioned before, may or may not work out that we will focus on that. If it is too much work, I am going to have no choice but to move on to other projects simply because it was not a very highly quoted project. So I'd much rather just lose that small potential amount of income and move on to other builds. Not only for me, but for you guys too. The other thing that we're working on, you can see Logan has got 1 million torpedo parts going. I think we got 4 orders for torpedo kits that are going to be going out. So we're going to be into torpedo production today. And then shipping out some other orders that backed up last week. So lots to do. Guess we better get to it. So decent progress today, but I don't know. I was hoping for more. We got a lot done. Let's take a look. Why don't you walk us through where we're at with Nautilus?
Mostly a lot of super small detail work, a lot of dry brushing. Got all of the lenses installed on this.
We got our irises. Those are looking good. And then you painted all the floodlight receptacles.
Yep.
We still got those ones to go.
Yeah.
And then painting in the breathers and up where the paint didn't get there. But I love how that paint finish turned out.
I mean, I love how all of this is, where it's just push it down, all seats super nicely. This all extends nice and easy.
You can't see it because it's so darn clean, but that rear window is installed.
I light dry brushing on all of the ladder rungs and cleats and bollards.
Mm-hmm.
I did a little bit of painting on the inside of all the hatches that they're no longer...
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they're no longer stark resin white. They're all a little bit nicer.
Yeah, a little coppery in there. Yep. Got Seaview painted up. You can see she is white on the bottom. We're going to let that cure up overnight and strip the paint, flip it over, and it'll look like a boat. And then Logan can do the little detail work, the brushing and the bridge and stuff.
Oh yeah, we also painted parts for the flying sub. I don't know if I can keep these. These are like really, really bright.
They're awfully shiny, yeah. But maybe that's cool. I don't know. I think it'll look good.
Yeah, I mean, worst comes to worst, what I can do is I can grab...
I think that'll look good.
Actually, that does look pretty good.
Yeah. And then what took me most of the day, got a ton of torpedo orders. I shouldn't say most of the day, for a few hours anyway, putting torpedo tubes together, building all the breech assemblies, getting all of the torpedo bodies going. I actually ran out of the intake tubes there, so I'm waiting on some brass for that. So, like I said, we got a lot done today, but it always feels like we could get more done. Nathan is coming over here in about an hour. And we're going to take a look at his little Type 202 that he won at a raffle that we had at the shop last year. So he wants some help with the rudder linkages. We'll take a look at that, see if we can get that all going. So we'll wait for Nathan and build some more boats. So it's a new day and we're getting stuff done. Let's take a look at Flying Sub first. So if you guys remember from last week, because I don't think I talked about it this week, that box was a bit of a debacle. It was ever so slightly leaky at like every single joint. Kind of oversized. It had a ballast tank in the back there that we really didn't need for this boat. And even if we did want one, we wouldn't want to put it where it was, which was way, way, way at the back of the boat. So after the Flying Sub sunk in the swimming pool, we went about stripping out the box and fabricating a new one. And I'm happy to say this is all done, tested and ready to go. Well, I just haven't tested the watertight integrity, but in theory, it should be good. So what do we got here? We got a waterproof connector that connects to everything, and that's the 2 motors and the lights up in the front. This box is rated at 15 feet of depth out of the box, so to speak. Triple servos, 2 for the rudder, 1 for the tilting jets or diverters, I guess you could call them. Twin lithium polymer batteries, just like was running it before. We got remote on-off switch, a new electronic speed controller, and receiver. So everything is looking good. We got everything going out these bellows seals in the back. Once we get this thing kind of all boxed up here, then what this will basically look like, and we've got to figure this out. I got these brass rails on the bottom, and they're going to lock into some brackets that we're going to build in here. So we will basically drop this in, slide it forward, and then put a little clip on the back. And that's what's going to hold it in place. And then we're going to be able to go right on to trimming. This, I am going to say, is probably pretty well neutrally buoyant. I'm going to guess that this is a neutrally buoyant. We could throw it in the pool and see. But this also means, because we don't have that gigantic box over there, we got lots more room for foam, lots more room for ballast, more room to just do and work on things. So really hoping that that works out. Maybe tomorrow we'll have this thing lit. Seaview is back on her feet again. You take a look over here. We got gray on the top. Well, this is actually bad. Got light coming in. Let's take a look over here. Gray on the top and white on the bottom, just like she's supposed to have. I'm going to be working on a sail and probably enlist Logan to do some detail work, paint up this, get a little bit of visual interest on here. These are supposed to be dark gray. So yeah, this is coming along really well. We're basically ready for water after the last of the cosmetics gets done. And then there's
Nautilus.
What's left to do?
That's actually kind of a good question. So far in the last little bit, we've gotten the floodlights installed. I still need to manually frost them because I didn't frost them before putting them in. It's a bit of a process to frost them and then put them in, but that'll just take a little bit. That just means tomorrow I'll just have to get some matte clear, and then I can go ahead and just use a Q-tip, smear over the edges. It'll give you a nice gradual frost look over the course of 2 or 3 coats. The breathers are like a stark glaring white, at least they used to be, and it was a little bit of a disconnect because everything looks all cool when this is all down and it doesn't have masking tape on it. This is all back. And then as soon as you pop these open, it all of a sudden gave away that it was a model, which is of course not what you want with a model. So I've been going in, just giving it a nice black finish so it's not so plasticky.
Mm-hmm. Note to self: next time we do a build, pre-paint.
Paint first. Yep.
Yeah, pre-paint. So yeah, there's the irises and the floodlights. Looks really cool. And I think what we're going to do, what are we going to do for the lights? Do you remember?
We were going to organize a system utilizing these hatches in which you can just basically press a button here for, say, the green light, and then back here for, say, maybe the warm lights and the floodlights.
Yeah.
And then maybe have the irises going constantly, because it just kind of makes sense.
Yeah. We'll probably rig, like, it'll be like standard mode and attack mode. So the owner can choose. And then we'll just run a like a 12-volt adapter up probably through the hatch in the bottom. We're getting close on this. I think we're going to open up pre-orders this week once we get something to show everybody so they can see what they're going to get.
Yeah. We'll have to add a addendum to that, is that we're not going to get any new models for a little bit, though, so pre-orders might open, but orders won't start for a couple weeks.
Right. Because we are using a really good company to work with out of Asia, and it's Chinese New Year. So they're going to be shut down for basically a month. But nonetheless, they're really, really communicative. Great product. I'm really impressed with them. So I have no doubts we're going to be able to put forth an awesome product. And like I said, we're going to open that up for sales here, hopefully by the end of the week, by the time you see this video. So little spoiler alert, go ahead, check my website, see if it's up, and you can order your very own Nautilus. So we are kicking the morning off with a little bit of work for a prop. Some of you may recognize this. This is the scale prop for a 1/35th scale Disney Nautilus. Now, I've had this aluminum prop for years and probably 10 years. We were producing these back when we were selling Jim Key's 66.5-inch Nautilus kits, and I just happened to have this one here, and a friend over in California lost his and needs a replacement. So I cleaned this one up, filed all the edges and everything. I'm going to chuck this up in the lathe, and we're going to drill it for a 3/16 shaft and put a set screw in. So I want to talk about how you're going to secure a shaft to a prop, or at least one way of doing that. All right, I have this prop chucked up in the lathe. Now, the challenge with this, obviously, for boring it through, is I have nowhere to grip the prop from this side. So I've got to chuck it up on the hub in the back here. This was sand cast, and it's as such, it's got some distortions to it. Now, the most imperative thing is that these props run true. So what I did is I used my lathe here, and I set it so all of the blades are precisely the same distance squared to the hub. The middle here is a little distorted, a little weird looking. So you can see if I flip this on, is a little wobbly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a lathe. I'm going to true this up. I'm going to shave down the hub, and I'm going to drill it for the shaft through this side. All right, so I got this all trued up here now. So you can see if I turn this on, that hub is now perfectly in line with the hub in the back there. So now I'm just going to chuck up my 3/16 bit, and we're going to go ahead and drill out that center shaft. All right, this is the prop, and I know I've skipped ahead a lot, but it's because I had nothing but issues with this crazy thing. So as it turns out, the castings ended up distorted quite a bit. Now, I managed to true this up quite a lot. You can see, if you look really closely, it looks like it's off center, but when you run this in a lathe or a drill, everything is true. So it's not perfect from a cosmetic perspective, but from a functional perspective, it is. Now, the other thing that ended up happening when I was drilling the big 6/32 stainless set screw in there, the tap snapped off. Yeah, in the hub there, and ended up jammed halfway down the opening. So if you look real close, you can see that it's actually a big flat in there that allows the shaft to go through. So Not ideal, again, from a cosmetic perspective, but actually from a functional perspective, it's even better because not only is there a flat, but there's a channel that the tap sits in. So even if the set screw backs off, the tap will stop the shaft from slipping. So it's like a double, backup there. And then, the owner, if he wants to, can do a little filling on the tip to round that all out. So a little project that turned into a massive project. I spent all morning on it, hour and a half. Such is the way of life. But we're going to go ahead and drill and tap the plastic version, which looks like this. This is it right here. Now, this is a super high strength nylon, and obviously, from a cosmetic perspective, this is just, head and shoulders above that aluminum version. I have a hunch he may end up going with this one, but he'll have the option for both. So I am going to go ahead and drill and tap this for a set screw as well. And now that I know I can do it with this, let's show you how that's done. So there's our prop all chucked up. I've got drill bit queued up in there. We're going to go straight in to the center. Just like that. And we're going to take our 6/30 seconds tap and very gently run it in, run it out, run it in, run it out, run it in, run it out. And then we've got our tapped hole. And again, using a big 6/30 second set screw, so there's a lot of meat in there that should work really well. Okay, I've been working on the flying sub, and the box is basically done now. Let's take a look. So I've got everything all bent up properly. I've got mounting brackets inside the boat. So basically it slides in and drops down, and then this support bar goes across the top to lock it in. That's all good. The problem we're running into, these linkages, you can see they're like really floppy and loose, which normally wouldn't be a problem because you would tether this in, really hard to these. But these seals were designed for 16th inch shafts, so these are 16th. And the problem is these big guide bushings inside are too big. So there's a lot of flop and slop in here. So what I've done, I'm going to try this. I haven't tried it yet. I've got these little rubber grommets, and I'm jamming them in these tubes. And we're going to try and lubricate these a bit, and that'll keep these shafts centralized so there's no flop and slop. So I'm just going to finish installing this last one here, and we're going to give it a shot. All right, let's give installation a shot one-handed. I'm going to give this a try so it kind of goes ouch in like this. And then the front drops in, and then the bottom drops in. Look at that. And then if I were to do this, just grab this in the back, give it a little twist, and now it's locked in. Super easy. Now I just need to connect these, and we're going to try out our linkages. All right, I've not tried it yet. I literally just hooked it up. So let's turn radio on, turn on the boat, listen for the click, click. All right, so I know this works. That's all good. That's better. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. It got stuck over here. I got to grind that out a little bit. Or just move it forward. That'd be better. We can move it. Ah! Move it, move it. There we go. Will that do it? I might still need to grind it. All right. I think we got it. I'm going to seal these up a little bit, make sure these are sealed, and then we can test the watertight integrity, and then we're good. It is a new day, and we started by putting some inventory away, but I'm going to get a little stress relief going on here. We're going to bust this old thing apart. And actually, you can see on here, there's stress cracks. Like here, for example, coming up on there. So, acrylic as a rule is pretty brittle. It's a neat product to work with, but as a rule, it's fairly brittle. You can build things like this, but you need to have special considerations about how you're going to construct it to make sure that you've got a box that's going to give you a lot of longevity and performance. 1, 2, 3, 4 stress cracks just there. And then looking here along the seam, this is all separated all through here. So that's why it was leaking like a sieve. I want to break this apart. I want to see if these servos did indeed flood and get completely messed up. But I want to extract this little piston tank. I don't know that I'll ever do anything with it, but it was well built. I kind of like it. And, get a little something for all of the extra work that we had to do on the flying sub. So I'm going to bust out the pliers here, break apart this acrylic, and see what we can do about extracting some of this stuff. This seam around the piston tank looks like it was separated as well. That was super easy. There we go. One little piston tank. Probably 200 milliliters, something like that. Might be good for a little trim tank or something. It's kind of cool. Now, we've talked about flooded servos before. One thing that I'm going to say is if you catastrophically flood your cylinder, assume your servos got water in them and assume that you need to replace them. Unless you've got waterproof servos, it's highly likely that you got some water in there. This actually looks really good. It's probably fine. Suppose we could test it and see. Not that I've got so many servos right now. And these are the old Futaba S3003s. But again, do you want to assume that your servo is going to be fine and then lose your ballast servo, your rudder servo, your diplane servo while it's out on patrol? Probably not, right? So better to be safe than sorry. Servos are exceptionally cheap. Swap them out. It'll be worth it. Rest of this going in the garbage. We'll put that little piston tank in stock and get to work on testing the waterproof integrity of our new box. Okay, it is time to throw a little paint on the flying sub. So you can see I've got her all masked off. Now we're going to use the existing yellow paint on there, but it's actually put on fairly well. Now it's showing a little age. There's a few little blemishes, but it's probably better to reuse it than it would be to an attempt to repaint everything. I think the overall finish is going to actually be superior just to go with that original paint. So what was not done on the original paint, though, was the blue striping for the flying sub. So these center circular sections and these strakes get blue. Now, you'll notice I've taped everything off. A little thing I learned from David Merriman. Now, these are the factory edges that I've done, and you're going to want to ensure when you lay down these lines, you press these hard into the creases. So I actually used a Q-tip and pressed these down so that the paint doesn't flow underneath. If you want a razor sharp line, what you need to do and what David Merriman taught me to do is you actually use an exceptionally sharp razor blade and cut a new line. Reason being that these factory edges, when you get really way closer than that, are a little rough. But for these purposes, for this purpose, for this project, is going to work perfectly fine. But again, if you want a super razor awesome edge, slice yourself a new line with a razor blade. So I like this color for the Flying Sub. Brilliant Metal Metallic by Rust-Oleum. I don't know what this actual color is called. I don't know. This is blue. We're going to hit this and let it dry and then flip it over and do the same on the other side. So I think we are reaching the finish line of Nautilus. Last thing we need to do is some subtle weathering and streaking and stuff like that. But Logan knocked out the lights, so why don't you walk us through how the whole lighting system works?
So we have, first off is power, which is down here. Simple plug, goes right up. The hatch here closes and stays closed magnetically, so if you just want to display it without having a power cable hanging out of the umbilical, just disconnect it, and it's that simple. First switch is up here in this hatch. This controls the attack lights.
Yeah, super cool.
Turns nice and green. You can turn it off. And then over here, essentially the main lights. This has everything else.
Yeah, so 2 circuits. Nice and simple. No like external switches, no external wiring other than the main power, obviously. But you can choose whether you want Nemo to be out for vengeance or cruising the depths. Looks pretty neat. Once we get everything all cleaned up and tidied and painted, we'll do a final overview with some nice close-ups and stuff like that. But so I went back and forth on the paints on Seaview a little bit. For the most part, Seaview is just gray. It's gray everywhere. It's like a pretty boring boat. So I've taken a few liberties to make it look, I think, to be just a little cooler. Let's see what I did. So this is pretty well lit. Seaview in her final livery. Gray on top, white on the bottom. Per usual. I'm going to flip her over and get access so I can put the windows in here momentarily. But painted the deck, and I put non-skid on the top. It was too much gray, unbroken. It didn't look good. Put non-stick up on the sail because that was actually per the series. You get out there and walk on there so you don't slip around on there. But the non-stick, I think, turned out really cool because the boat itself is like semi-gloss or like eggshell or whatever you want to call it. And then the top is matte. Makes a really neat differentiation. I've got that sort of military green color up in the tower there. And then just a slightly different shade of gray for the personnel hatches and safety rails. And then silver for our ballast vents. From a distance, it looks really cool. And you guys know I am a stickler for at least some weathering on boats, but in this particular case, I'm going to try and ignore the urge to weather this up. I think it looks good in a as launched sort of paint scheme. We're going to get the windows in, get the control room in, and light her up. And then we'll have the big reveal, and she will be ready for the pond. End of the day, and you can see we got a flying sub, got some paint on it, looks pretty good. Logan checked the box. How did the box turn out?
Box is good. It was surprisingly buoyant. Had a small leak along the side that could be fixed with a little bit of thin CA, so 2-second fix on that. Should be all good to go.
So that means maybe tomorrow we can get it in the pool and see what it does, or at least trim it. We'll have to. It'll take a little bit to trim it out. Today was productive, though. We finished Nautilus.
Nautilus is totally done.
We finished Seaview. That is totally done and ready for water. And we got this ready to go. And you got a little bit of work done on Kilo.
Yeah, I mean, just got the tie down done today, but progress is progress.
Yep. And that was, you remember where you got that, right?
Yep. That was Subfest.
Subfest, yeah. Robert was selling that. You picked it up. Mm-hmm. It was not in the best of shape, but you massaged it back into condition again.
Yeah, it's still a bit rough around the edges. A few spots that took a decent amount of sanding to get into good shape, but it's coming along pretty well.
Yeah. So, wrapping up for the day, and kick it into high gear tomorrow. All right, it's Friday. Thank goodness. Busy week, like we said a few minutes ago. Got lots done. Today, we're hoping to get Logan's Kilo finished up and in the water for trimming. That might be a lot. We'll see how that goes. Flying Sub in the water for trimming. And we are hoping to do a little bit of work on a new little, well, it's not new. It's a pre-built 212 that I picked up a while ago. Absolutely gorgeous. Pre-built. But we're going to start out the day with a little bit of torpedo work. So we have an order for 1 set, but we're going to manufacture 3 so that we're all set to go. This is what the parts of our torpedo kit looks like. Logan is marking out all the aluminum torpedo bodies, and he has already pre-cut all of our pickup tubes for the inside of the torpedoes. That's what the gas gets sucked up and blown out through. So we're going to put these things together, get them all whipped up, and get our arsenal restocked. So, of course, we finished up the work on the torpedoes. That one kit is going off to Germany, and then we got backup torpedoes in stock, so that's pretty cool. And then we did a little bit of work printing out a whole bunch of parts for Jason with engine for cylinder stuff. So we got all that going on. And then in the meantime, Logan has been working on Kilo. Let's touch base and see where he's at.
Well, so far, Kilo's been going way better than I expected. I kind of forgot how far I got on it since last time, and we did have a little bit more than I remembered, but we've been running through it super quick. So I think we went over last time. We've got the hold down secured. What we've done so far today is, for one thing, charge the battery, which by some miracle wasn't dead. Big thing we've done is we've got the prop installed and we've got the linkages installed. I can't take too much credit for the prop. I basically just attached the dog bone, got a set screw in, but we've repurposed the old bulkhead. And by repurposed, I mean kind of just put better glue and lopped off enough of it so that we can get around it.
Yeah, it was held in with hot glue previously.
Which, you know, is fun when, in the process of removing it, you could actually peel the glue off of both the hull and the bulkhead with your fingers. So, not a lot of strength. But it's in with some nice rubberized CA. We've got our color-coded linkages in now. I did some work on them a long time ago, so they're nice and loose. Only problem we run into with linkages is that we don't have a lot of deflection. I believe we have about this much deflection. Actually, yeah, that's our maximum deflection for resurfacing. So we're going to come back to this and make sure we can fix that. Plenty of down deflection though, so shouldn't be too hard to fix this actually. Yeah, and we got to switch the channels around. We got our dive planes where our rudder is, and our rudder where our dive planes need to be. Oh, and the pitch controller is currently trying to turn us instead of float us. Yeah, well, that's because it's plugged in the wrong channel. But anyhow, yeah. So we're getting close. I'd say maybe right after lunch we might be able to get this thing wet. All right, now that the boats are buttoned up and ready to go, we're going to go outside to the top secret test facility and do preliminary trimming. We threw, what do we got in there? How much weight? 2 strips. Each strip is about
half an ounce.
About 1 3/4 of a
So that's what?
ounce.
Yeah, 714 times 1.5. Yeah. Up front here. So all the weight's in the back. I have a hunch we're going to need to figure out a lot of foam here, but we got to have a baseline. So we're going to grab some weights, some foam, some rubber bands, head out there and see what we can make happen. Flying sub is all set and ready to go. I just wanted to show this to you. So this is actually really well engineered. I don't know if I actually showed this to you before, but this is just held on magnetically. And then we got the box. Now, before I'd showed you guys this, what I thought was a pretty awesome hold down. It just kind of went in the back here like this, and it just flipped up and locked it in. But, of course, it hits this. So what I did is, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little rubber band in the bottom here, and that goes over the power connector there and just holds it down. So you disconnect the power, pull the rubber band underneath, and then you can pull the box out. It's not elegant, but it's simple. So, you could potentially engineer a different solution if you wanted to, but this works. This is going to get us going for sure. There's still a little bit of slop in here, but testing these, they seem to be working really well. I'm not even going to bring the radio out because we're just testing for trim, and it doesn't need to be running for that. So I'm going to tuck this under my arm. Logan can tuck that under his arm, and we'll go get some boat sweat. So quickly threw the flying sub in the pool, and it sunk kind of barely, heavy in the stern. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a chunk of foam out of this block, and I'm going to see if I can just wedge this right here. I'm going to make life easy for myself. Something like that. Let's see what happens. This is what happens. I guess I got it just about right. It looks like it's just ever so slightly heavy on the left side, although I don't know, maybe there's some trapped air. Yeah, maybe a little bit heavy on the left. What would be perfect is if I could get that foam back further, but it works out really well where it's at. You know what? I feel like just kind of throwing it in the big pool and seeing what it does when we power it up. So something didn't go well. It's marooned out there. It was going okay, and then all of a sudden there was a gigantic poof, and a bunch of smoke came out. This is not good. And the servos are cranked over. I gotta go grab the pool float and see what happened. Yeah, this is not good. I can smell ozone like crazy right now. I haven't opened it up. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's like super exciting. Look at all that smoke in there. And there's something glowing red inside. It's just not super exciting in the slightest. The remote switch is still working. Just turned it off. I'll bet you an ESC exploded. That's what I think. Okay, let's bring it inside. All right, just got the box out, still full of. Oh, yep, the ESC exploded. You see right there? Wow.
Oh, the massive hole of burned wire.
It's not really burned wire, just exploded right out the side of the unit. Wow. Okay. That's nice. So this thing is still incredibly hot. This spot right here is where the negative was presumably soldered to the board. So, I don't know. This says it's rated for up to 10 cells, and we're only running 4. That sucks. I mean, easy fix, but man, that sucks. All right, well, guess we'll find a new speed controller and see if anything else got damaged. All right, hopefully this goes a little better than the flying sub just did. Let's see what it does.
Hopefully it shouldn't explode considering it's not even up to power. Whoa! Well, I think it's a little bit of weight in the back. A lot of air. That's heavy. I can feel as soon as I let go, it just drops like a rock.
So we need a lot of foam in the stern.
Yep, a lot of foam in the stern. Stable, though. Super stable, though. Like if I rotate it in the water and have it this way and then drop it, corrects itself instantly. So we don't got to worry about stability.
All right.
Just got to make sure it floats.
Well, I think the best thing to do is bring it back inside, open it up, and put as much foam as we can in the back of the boat.
Yeah, the problem is right here is where the cylinder wraps around.
Yep.
So all we really got for like open area is back here, kind of, sort of.
Yep. That's what we got to work with, though.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get lucky, we can fit some foam here and foam here. But there's just nothing for here for room.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what we can do. Okay, so now I get to take everything apart. And we get to swap out the batteries. Now, the reason I'm doing that is it's got 14.4 volts in there right now, lithium polymer battery packs, which is well within the realm of that other electronic speed controller. So I don't know what the problem was with that. But what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to switch those out for a 3S battery packs, which it's not going to make much of a performance difference, but it's going to be back in the realm of like normal voltage for a lot of like electronic modules. So we'll pop all of this stuff out, get these batteries out. Fortunately, 3S batteries and 4S batteries are the exact same length. They're just a little fatter with the other battery packs. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to swap out the electronic speed controller and see if it all works. A little bit more foam in the stern, and the trimming will all be addressed. So, you know, I guess this is just the way it goes. I hate when things outside my control happen. If it would have sank because I didn't put a plug in or something, that's me. Exploding ESCs, to the best of my knowledge here right now, wasn't me. The other thing I do want to mention, I told you I heard a big pop, right? And saw a big cloud of smoke. Now, you may be wondering, if this was sealed up, how did smoke get out? Well, one of the beauties of this particular box is there is a pressure relief valve built into the side of the unit. And so if the unit overpressures inside, it vents the air out, and that's exactly what it did. So otherwise what would have happened, this whole thing would have pressured up like a grenade and potentially exploded, causing catastrophic sinking, catastrophic damage to the box, etc., etc. So, yeah, not Not awesome. I'm hoping it looks like everything else weathered okay, other than the fact that there's sticky goop all over the inside of the box, which we're now going to need to clean out. So you have a path forward. It's going to move on and take our lumps. So I think Logan and I decided we are calling it. I'm going to shut down shop and work on the update video that you're watching right now, because I am highly, highly frustrated with this thing. Swapped out the electronic speed controller and nothing worked. Swapped it out for another one and nothing worked. When I powered up the switch this last time, I ended up with a puff of smoke coming off of one of the diodes. What baffles me is it's not like I'm starting it up for the first time. This was all checked and working. Everything was perfect. So something changed when that first electronic speed controller went supernova, to the point now where it has compromised the system. There's a short somewhere. I don't know. Maybe there's an internal short in this power block. I can try and swap that out. I'll try it anyway. It's cheap. We'll figure it out. But nothing is working. I'm frustrated. And that is never a good state of mind to be working on your projects with. So normally I would switch to a different project, but I don't want to reconfigure my workbench right now. So seeing as how it is almost the end of the day anyway, we're going to wrap it up and call it a week. Any thoughts, Logan? You had problems with your cylinder too, didn't you?
Yes. Inside of the ballast tank, one of the connections that led to the main chamber that had my receiver, my servos, my engine, my gas ballast.
The power conduit. The big brass power conduit.
Yeah. Yeah, that was leaking. And it's a bit of a pain to get access to it. So I kind of just smeared a little bit of silicone around it, see if that works. If not, got a lot of unscrewing to do in order to get access to the power conduit otherwise.
Yeah, well, we'll figure something out. But again, sometimes it's better just to put it down, walk away, and come back to it later. We could end off with something on a little bit more of a more positive note, but it was still a productive week. We still had a great time, and still appreciate you guys joining us on our little journey here. I think we're going to leave it at that. On behalf of myself, Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy, and
Logan,
have a great weekend. Reminder, Dive Tribe tomorrow. If you're not a member, join up. Dave Merriman's going to be doing a little seminar on vacuum forming. It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll give you some updates and previews of the products that we got going on here too. So don't forget about the Dive Tribe. And one other update, Subfest is a go. Subfest 2024. It is, I think, the 26th to 29th of September 2024. Cahata, Georgia. Put it on your calendars. More info coming soon. With that, we're going to let you go. Have a great weekend and catch you next time.